Welcome on in, everybody. My name is AirAngel. Welcome to Games Done Quick Hotfix. This is Game Masters, the show that, the game is not made up, but the timer doesn't really matter. That's right. We're here to learn everything about the lore, the random knowledge about games, and the mechanics. Literally every single thing about a game. I want to know about it. We're going to learn about it. Before we get started today, I just wanted to say Awesome Games Done Quick 2022 online is live this Sunday, January 9th, starting at 11 a.m. Eastern. Come see a week of speedruns here on Games Done Quick Twitch channel. Go to gamesdonequick.com for more info. I am super excited for it. I hope y'all are. But yeah, so to kick off today's Game Masters, we're doing a Metroidvania edition, literally showcasing Metroid and Castlevania series today. But to start off the night, we have TASing with CV2. TASing, how's it going?
It's going great. How are you, AirAngel?
I'm doing good. I'm just hanging out with my dog, gonna learn about some games.
That sounds tight.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I'm here with Satresh. Sat is one of my best friends from Twitch. We got to meet at GDQ 2019. Incredible experience, and one of the folks in the community that has the deepest knowledge of Castlevania II, which is what I'm playing today. Sat, thanks for joining me today. How you doing, bud?
Doing pretty good. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. This is going to be pretty fun because this is something that you don't get to see every day, especially with grinding the speedrun in any of the categories. So.
Absolutely. When AirAngel hit me up when she had the idea of having something like this, like a Metroidvania show going on, I was just thinking about how much of Castlevania 2 we don't get to see in the normal speedrun, because it is, you can't really say it's open world because it's on an 8-bit cartridge. How much world could there possibly be? But like compared to Castlevania 1 and a lot of other platformer/adventure games at the time, there's a lot of content packed in that cart. So we're hoping today to just kind of take a look at some of that. And, like AirAngel said, we're not really paying too much attention to the timer, but I'm still going to try to impress you with some cool speedrunning tricks in the process. And we're going to be taking a look at kind of the parts of the game that are heavily treaded upon, and, of course, those parts that aren't. Cool. Are we ready to start? Should we start? I'll press start now. Boom.
All right.
Okay. So this is a kind of like an adventure role-playing game, which is quite a bit different than Castlevania 1. And this, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Seth, but I think when the director of this game was kind of asked about inspiration, a lot of people do tend to ask, like, hey, did you get any inspiration from Metroid? He says no, but I actually looked up the game that he says that he did draw inspiration from, and Metroid definitely seems like a closer fit than... what's the other one called? Do you happen to know what the other game is called? It's
I actually do, and I have some familiarity with that game itself. And to be honest, I actually feel quite the opposite. I do actually feel that the inspiration, kind of came more from Maze of Gallius than going for Metroid itself, because there's a lot of item collecting and a lot of like currency and things like that. The bosses are way better in Maze of Gallius, and the boss fight, though, specifically the main boss fight for it, is almost exactly the same as the Dracula fight in this and in Belmont's Revenge. It's pretty interesting how close they are.
So this game, in addition to being kind of like more open world and less linear than the normal game. Oh, I wanted to show something off real quick. So one of the first items I bought from the first town is the white crystal here. This actually makes this platform appear. But as you saw, I don't actually have... I can't unequip it now, but I actually don't have to have the white crystal equipped to make it up here. So it is kind of a progression item. You do need it to beat the game, but you don't need it to come to the first dungeon, which there's a randomizer for this game, and we kind of take advantage of that quite a bit. So yeah. The goals of the game in Castlevania 2 are to collect Dracula's body parts and destroy them so that we can lift the curse that Dracula put on Simon at the end of Castlevania 1. And in doing so, we actually have to get all 5 of the body parts that are scattered through the world, plus 3 crystals. So if you look at my inventory real quick, I have one of the crystals already. This is the white crystal. Later on in the game, we'll trade this white crystal to a collector that will give us a blue crystal, and then again for a red crystal. We need all 3 crystals, and each of the crystals kind of grants you access to a new part of the game. As well as some other items like Dracula's Heart. Once we collect Dracula's Heart, we're able to go to a new part of the game, and we also have the magic cross that's required to beat the game.
Did they like plan that? They're like, you know what, we're gonna make so many games off this series that like we're just gonna tie them all together somehow. So like at the very end of this game, we're just gonna curse this other dude, and then then there's a game 2.
Yeah, I don't think that Konami really understood how much money they were going to make from Castlevania at the beginning, because the lore says that Dracula's castle is supposed to reappear every 100 years. But right away, I guess Simon's Quest is a little bit of an exception. So I think the way that the lore kind of goes is that we want to have Dracula's castle reappear every 100 years, and then some vampire hunter is going to have to stop Dracula before he covers the world in darkness or something like this.
Yeah,
but
like someone's gonna have to deal with this, like clockwork. Like y'all are just gonna have to keep doing this over and over.
So we're at the first mansion here. This is called Berkeley Mansion, and in each mansion there's always going to be a vendor that gives me an oak stake, which is the item that I'm on right now. And you use the oak stake to break open this orb and jump into it to get a body part from Dracula. There's the famous "You now possess Dracula's rib" line. We'd love to see it. And the Dracula's rib is actually a really strong item. This gives me a shield that looks to me like a piece of watermelon, and this blocks fireballs from hitting you.
What I love about the possess is that later on, when you do get an item from death, the golden knife, it actually says it and spells it correctly.
No modularization of code there.
No.
So it's a little bit of a spoiler, so but we'll actually see. I don't think that actually Simon is the hero in this game, is also the hero in Castlevania 1. So right away, the series kind of breaks from its every 100 years sort of timelines. There are definitely some exceptions in the series, but once they realized that they were making a lot of money off of Castlevania, and there weren't that many years in like history that we actually knew how to make castles, for example. It's like they can't make that many games, It's like, what is that, like 12?
We're gonna go by the month now. This is the Konami version. In January, he's gonna have to go do this thing, and then February, you know what? He's gonna have to go do it again.
Exactly. Okay, I'm gonna try a glitch here. Okay, so
nice.
That doesn't look too impressive, I'm sure, but what's actually happening there is every time I do a jump whip, Simon's pixel actually goes up, Simon's Y position actually goes up a pixel, and that happens to make it so where a lot of like tiebreaker code kind of runs and says, oh, we're actually a pixel higher than we expected, so this must be good, and lets you get to places that you're not supposed to be able to get to. And we'll kind of take advantage of that a few times over the course of the run.
Yeah, and that's a small advantage of it, but it really helps out when you're just trying to get through those enemies without stopping.
Also, like, even though this isn't technically a platformer game, it has some challenging platforming in it, and yeah, I think we're about to say the same thing probably.
Yeah,
it's good.
Say, what TASing just happened was there's a level up system in this as well. So in different areas, you get XP, and as you see, that L doesn't mean how many lives that you have left. It designates what your current level is, and the E next to it is your current experience points. So now the hearts that he gets aren't. They're no longer going to give him experience points, but he'll still get the currency that he can use for later on in the game. But
I actually think that Castlevania II was kind of ahead of its time with that, because like we've all probably played some MMO or otherwise like role-playing game where you know, there are like these concepts of like zone levels, and after a while you stop getting XP in the zone that you're in because, you know, like there's the famous South Park episode, Make Love Not Warcraft, where they decide they're just going to kill boars all the way to max level. Well, we know that you can't really do that, you know, so it kind of takes those of us that know the game pretty well out of it a little bit. And wow, all the way from like 1987 design did they come up with this. A little disclaimer, one of the hard things about playing the speedrun of this game, or not playing but routing the speedrun of this game, since it's non-linear, there's a lot of different options that you can do, and there's actually a couple of versions of the game where they actually have different routes because of the way that the game is technically coded. But since we're not really doing a speedrun here, we're just kind of taking a look. There are going to be cases like this where I'm stuck in a town. I can't go into any of the shops in this town right now while it's dark. So there's 3 minutes of daytime and 3 minutes of nighttime per day. Is that right? Is it 3-3? I think
yeah.
It is. So just a disclaimer, you know, if you need to get up and pop a bag of popcorn or hit the restroom, when you see me just mindlessly grinding zombies like this is a good time.
Yeah, and just as a heads up to everyone in chat, all revenue after taxes that GDQ earns from subscriptions and bits for the month of January will be donated to the Prevent Cancer Foundation, what we're benefiting for AGDQ 2022. What year is it? That's what year it is. So yeah, if you sub now, sub later, it's all go towards a great cause.
Oh, and looks like we're gonna get a whip upgrade.
So I'm gonna buy a thorn whip here.
Yeah, this is something you don't see every day.
So it looks the same, but it's a little bit longer, and it hits twice as hard.
So how long have y'all been playing this game?
Too long.
I had this game when I was a kid. I couldn't beat it, but I really enjoyed playing it.
Yeah, I had it as a kid, and my great aunt and I went through and pretty much played this with our own notebooks of all of the villagers' dialogue and maps of where to go. Tried to, at least. And I guess I unbeknownst to me, she ended up, I guess, calling Nintendo Power Hotline to figure out how to kneel with the crystal.
Oh my gosh. Amazing, though.
Yeah. But she made it seem like we came up with it ourselves. So that was cool.
I'm trying to think of all the times I called, because, you know, like, they had, like, the magazines that would come out either the month the game came out or, like, a month after. I remember, I want to say it was sometime in the late 90s, so probably Nintendo 64 at that point. But they were, like, so nice. They're like, okay, well, where are you? I just picked up Kazooie. And it's just, like, this little, like, kid on the phone trying to figure out how to play this game. I know we're dating each other, people. Like, we get it. We're old. But that was, like, such a prime time gaming.
I called the hotline once to learn how to try to beat the Yellow Devil in Mega Man 1, and I hung up in the middle of the explanation because I chickened out and my dad had just come home and I thought he would yell
no!
at me.
Oh, didn't even get to... Oh, I would have been...
I called with my babysitter who was a teenager that also wanted to beat the game, so it was like we were both playing the game to figure it out together, whatever we were doing.
They're like, I'll put my babysitting money out for this.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the $5 I earned a night for babysitting to, like, use half of it to call Nintendo Power.
I remember that was like a career that, like, you know, as a kid, everybody was like, oh, they get paid to just sit there and play video games and tell everybody the answers.
Because you'd literally be game master, you know? Like this show, but real life. And, like, amazing.
Oh, we have what is this? This is actually probably the most useful clue in the game. It's still pretty vague, but one of the big problems of this game is how cryptic it is. You'll see a little bit later, but there are some parts of the game that are blocked off, and there's just, like, no way to know what to do. And especially when you consider, and we haven't even gotten into this yet, but some of the townspeople will just lie to you. Like, for example, yeah.
It even says
like,
in the manual that they lie to you. So.
Oh my gosh.
And you don't know. Unfortunately, in the Japanese translation, you can tell by how it's presented that it's true or a false statement. But that got lost in the translation, and so we just got a horrible mess.
True. Okay, so my holy water can break some floors here. If they're breakable, they can't break every floor. Like, I can't just break anything I want, but this is like, in any other game, I feel like this would be like a so-called secret area, but these places are required in Castlevania II. It's kind of weird.
You just have to figure it out. Like, I guess I'm just gonna throw stuff everywhere. Right.
The first time you find out that holy water breaks a block, you're literally throwing holy water every 2 seconds. Does this break? Does this break? Does this break?
Yeah, that's right. Because when you're playing this in the 80s, there's no there's no internet. You can't just like look up what to do. There's no walkthroughs except like the Nintendo Power Guide.
Yeah,
or the Skip Rogers videos, everybody. Don't forget those Skip Rogers VHS tapes.
Like you gotta hope like your best friend already beat the game or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So here's actually an example. This is a lie. The diamond isn't at Deborah Cliff. The diamond's at Brad Mountain. So even this clue book is misleading us. So, like, imagine you're in the 80s, you don't have a walkthrough, these clues are telling you to go places that are just complete lies, and you have this holy water that can break floors. So, you're just gonna walk around and throw the holy water at every block. Because you're probably stuck, you don't know where to go next, because this game is extremely cryptic, and you're probably just doing a bunch of this.
Oh, yeah.
Does this break? Does this break? Does this break?
But see, I wouldn't even have thought to jump and throw it at the same time, so I would have just been sitting there, moving like 2 blocks and then throwing a holy water, moving 2 blocks, just standing throws.
Exactly. This enemy right here, these grabby hands, this was like the first icon in my Twitch channel.
Amazing.
Because I like the fist, it kind of reminds me of the Resistance fist a little bit.
Oh yeah, that's the icon in your...
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so we're at our first secret spot right now. We're gonna drop the garlic on the ground here, which is a totally normal thing that people should expect to have to do in video games, and it's gonna make a person appear.
The only clue that tells you to use garlic says to give it to the ferryman. It doesn't even say to bring it to the graveyard. So how would you
even
even
the ferryman's
throw?
lie. You're supposed to give him the heart. You don't give him the garlic.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Okay, so we're gonna talk to this guy. And he's about to give us the worst item in the game, the silver knife. The silver knife does damage based on your current whip level, and I think it's even damage -1. So that means if you still have the basic whip, you're literally gonna do 0 damage with it.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
I think it costs a heart, so I have 64 hearts right now. If I throw one of these knives, yeah, I have 63 hearts. So it costs my money to throw these knives, which are terrible.
Gosh. Cost money to do. Oh, how dare.
And it doesn't even I guess you get a small stun lock, but it goes right through the zombie, so it only stuns them for like literally a quarter of a second. Like
yeah, so it does half as much damage as my whip right now, because it's gonna take 4 hits of this to kill these zombies. This item is Garbaggio. But we're at town, we're just farming zombies, so if you want to take a quick break, this is a good time.
Yeah, anyone that's just coming in chat, this is Game Masters, where we learn about random things about games, the lore, mechanics, everything. And we're doing a Castlevania II Simon's Quest 100% plus, sort of like an expedition showcase. So if you have any questions for the runner or the commentator, please let me know. I've got chat open. And after this show in particular, we do have Time Capsule featuring the year 2005. So stick around after Game Masters for more gaming. All the gaming.
We love gaming. Big gamers here.
Big
yeah,
gamers.
it's gonna be awesome with the Super Metroid exhibition run because there's a lot of places to go in that too.
Yeah, after CVT, we're doing Super Metroid Nintendo Power Percent, which is a very random category that I'm super excited to watch, by Freya's Spirit, and they're super amazing at the game. Yeah, this is literally Metroidvania at the most literal sense edition. So, we're bringing me both.
This definitely isn't the first non-linear game in the Castlevania series, but it's definitely, until Symphony of the Night comes out in, is that 99-ish? 98? I don't recall. I'm sure someone in chat knows better than I. I think it was probably the most prominent non-linear Castlevania game. And of course, the Metroid series has always been non-linear, which I think is a lot of fun. Especially, like, again, during the 80s, frankly, there ain't that much to do, you know? Except interact with the real world, but who does that? And like, I kind of appreciated having something that I could put my time into like this. I think it was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely loved games like this. This and like role-playing games were definitely my jam.
I'm really hyped for the Nintendo Power Percent run, though. I saw the first time I saw this was a couple of years ago, and I don't remember the name of the marathon, but it was a lot of fun to watch. And the funniest part of the run is that there's actually an item that lets you scan walls to see what's in the walls in Super Metroid, and you have to get that item in Nintendo Power Percent, even though you don't need it. So it's just kind of funny because it's this thing to help you find other items, but you don't need the help because you're reading Nintendo Power.
Yeah. It tells you exactly where you need to go.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, though. I love seeing, you know, variations of really kind of popular games, because you do get to see a lot more of the game, in my opinion. Or not in my opinion, I appreciate that I get to see a lot more of the game.
Yeah.
So we have a question in chat. They said, I'm assuming it's for the good ending for this, right? So are there multiple endings to Simon's Quest?
There are multiple endings, but we will probably see what happens. It all depends on how many days and nights pass in order for the endings. And TASing right there just traded the white crystal for the blue crystal, and the blue crystal allows some more access progression for the game. Oh, and TASing just did one of the most time-saving floor drops in the game that we use in the speed run, and that's all based off of your subpixel value. So if Simon's subpixel is within it can happen on any of them, but if it's within 3 values, it's pretty much guaranteed that it'll happen. So TASing manipulated its subpixel value and was able to do a whip right over the right when they fell and clip right through the floor.
So this is the section where the clue that we got earlier, to like equip the crystal and kneel to fill the lake with earth or something like that. So this is the way you access this part of the game, which is one of the more cryptic parts. Go to this seemingly dead end, equip a specific item, and kneel for a long time.
Yeah,
it's a
I would
lot.
have never gotten that. Like,
Same.
Yeah, I wasn't patient enough as a kid to sit there and you know, pretty much hold down the whole time. I would have been like, oh, I stood up, or, you know, or not equip the crystal. And I remember, I think the first time that I saw that was my great aunt when she did that.
When you speedrun, you do try to stand up and start getting to the bottom of the lake as fast as possible once you've sat there the amount of time. So there is like a funny bit of like impatience that will happen, and it'll cost you just a ton of time. There's a cool glitch that I'm going to try to do with this purple block in just a minute, but first, there's a clue book up here that we need to check out. Destroy the curse with Dracula's heart. I know exactly what that means. That's super easy to understand, and I think it's going to be no problem to do that. Easy peasy.
Yeah, what curse are they talking about? I mean, you know.
The curse. Yeah.
The one that I've been afflicted with for 7 years, that
I wonder
Okay, so
like how many times you'd have to explain that. You know, like somebody just like, oh, what curse is it? It's like, oh my freaking god! Like, how many times do I have to say what happened?
The funny thing is, Castlevania 3 is called Dracula's Curse. Seems like they had a missed opportunity there, but
Yeah.
okay, I'm gonna do a weird glitch with this block here. I don't know, Seth. You want to kind of explain what's happening while I attempt to do it?
Yeah. So what Two Snake is doing is he's forcing the camera to stay at a specific pixel, so it pushes him through a fake transition. The screen doesn't have a normal screen there, but it still thought that he was going through a screen transition. So what it does is it teleports him to an empty Laruba mansion, which is it just happens to be loaded in memory. And so you go there. You don't have any enemies, but if you do a floor drop where he was trying to do, you can do a double floor drop and you can go straight down right after you jump in there. But when you come back out, there's these 2 blocks that he's going to go ahead and throw holy water on that has a clue book in it. And it just so happens to be at the perfect spot for you to be able to get out to go to the orb. So
I think we actually have a clue here to go get the silver knife from that guy.
There is one for that. You know, we always click out of that clue so quickly that I probably forgot that was that clue.
Yeah, in 80%, you actually get that clue like every time
Yeah.
because of the glitch. You have to break the clue wall. Like, it's such a weird glitch that A, it works that way, and B, it puts you in such a spot where you can actually take advantage of it. That's wild to me.
It's really wild when games work out that way, because there's a few other games like that do something similar. But
So that entire screen was scripted in such a way to where we can just floor drop through. And I'm gonna do another glitch here. It's the same glitch as before, except it's gonna bring us to the front of the mansion that we're currently in.
yeah, so he just did the reverse of that, and the screen didn't know where to place him, so it placed him on the nearest actual transition that was in memory.
Okay, so here's a spot where our whip jump is actually going to help us. So we can't make this jump, right? But if we whip jump, we can. Did you see how it kind of glitched there for a second? This is this tiebreaker code saying, oh, you've got 51%. Good enough for me. Let's round it up.
Yeah, it just pushes you right up on that block. And
I'll try to do a glitch here, but I'm not very good at it. Nah, I didn't get any of it.
yeah, that you can use the momentum of the blocks if you jump the very next frame, so the first frame after you let go of the D-pad. So you have to let go of whatever direction you're holding and then jump the next frame, and then you can use the momentum of the purple block, and it launches you. There's one screen in particular where you can use that and it can launch you half a screen.
So we're backtracking a little bit here. This is where we were earlier that has the clue book on the floor that we did. So we're actually heading back to the very first town that we, the town that we spawned in. But there's a secret here. If I can break those blocks with either the holy water or the nail. It's never going to be the nail though, because the nail is in one of the last mansions in the game. But little known fact, if you equip Dracula's nail, it actually lets your whip break blocks. So these are good for breakable walls, but are still like this one, but not good for breakable floors. Oh, they spelled possess right here too.
Yeah. It's only on the mansion on the items. Whenever you break the orb items, that's when it misspells it. But everywhere else, it spells it correctly.
That's interesting. So maybe there is some modularization happening.
Just like, anybody read the copy before we put it in a video game?
Not really.
Look, I mean, at that point, they probably spend so much time on it. You know, they're like, ooh, we misspelled something at the very beginning. So
localization was like, it was highly overlooked back then, and so for any company to take it seriously, it it took a lot, and you know, Konami, I think at that time was one of the ones who did it the best, and you know, actually kind of kept that spirit in with having their games you know, get better and better when it came to localization and translations.
Yeah, absolutely. I think even like probably most people thought that localization and translation were the same thing. And I watched this really interesting YouTube video that talked about how, I forgot who it was, but there's an individual that worked for Square, I think, brought localization to the next level. And I think it was Mystic Quest that he kind of turned it around on. I think Mystic Quest was the game that they got somebody else like, hey, we should actually take this seriously.
Oh yeah, I mean, they made that game specifically for the American market, and took a lot of care into trying to work on that. And so you know, I really that's a really often overlooked game that doesn't get a lot of love. I mean, it does in the speedrun community, but I think casually it doesn't.
I liked it when I was a kid because it was easy. I was used to playing Simon's Quest during the NES era, and I could finally play something I could beat. I was like, whoa, games have ends? Bananas.
We do have a question in chat. How did... I'll go one at a time. Seth, how did you celebrate when you finally beat Castlevania II?
Well, the first time that I beat it, I actually don't really... I think I was anticlimactic because we used the golden knife, and just like, you just stood there.
Oh, yeah.
No, I don't think like I was really like that excited like when it happened, because I just kind of like was like, oh, that wait, what? That was it? We're done? And it wasn't until, you know, further replays that I kind of developed more of a love for it. And yeah, after that, definitely always celebrating when we come to the PVs or anything. Damageless was a fun run.
Oh wow.
For some reason, it eats your holy water if you throw it into the door just right. I don't know what that's about.
Yeah, it's great.
Okay. So we finally are out of nighttime. We didn't really need to farm here, but we didn't have anything else to do because we're waiting for the shops to open up. It's like it's Black Friday and we're just kind of hanging out in the front door, just ready to buy this sweet, sweet chain whip, baby.
What was that old ad? Open.
So we're buying the chain whip here. This is the second whip upgrade. The reason why nobody gets the thorn whip is because this one's only a little bit more expensive and it is way better. But it's only the third of 5 whips. So this is a pretty good clip, or clip. This is a pretty good tip, telling you that you're going to need a white crystal to progress in Berkeley Mansion. Berkeley Mansion was the first mansion we went to. At this point, we've done Berkeley Mansion and Rover Mansion. Those are the only 2 mansions that are to the right of the starting town. And this town, Barros, is the last city that we'll hit before we head left from the starting town. These churches, these are actually heavily used in randomizer, but if you talk to this church person, I'm sorry, I don't know church stuff, she's gonna hook us up with full life.
I mean, person in a church person. Pretty...
Yeah.
Pretty on point, I guess.
It's intuitive. Okay, so this is the last check here. This is, I say check, I've been playing a lot of randomizer, I'm sorry. This is the last vendor here. We buy the dagger. This is a highly underrated item. This is technically a lower dagger. There's going to be 3 knives here in my inventory. This is the starter one. The silver knife is supposed to be the middle tier. And then finally we'll get the golden knife later, which is, save for a couple of glitches you can do with the blue dagger, it's the best one. But the blue dagger is nice. And it's weird because, look, it doesn't go very far, but when you're speedrunning, that's actually a feature because there's a glitch in the game that essentially says that if your sub-weapon hits an enemy on the last frame that it is rendered on, then when the sprite, like, de-renders, if that's a word, when the sprite disappears, it'll actually do critical hit damage to the enemy that you're hitting with it. I don't know why. Seth, do you have any idea on the technical guts of that trick?
It's an actual like error in the code, but it's so it could happen with any number. It could have like made it to where, you know, it like increased their health, but for some reason the value that it just overwrites into memory, it overwrites the damage value, and it does 184 damage, which is extremely overpowered.
It's enough to one-shot any enemy in the game except Dracula and Carmilla. I don't know if you've seen the Castlevania animated series, but Carmilla, this is her first appearance, I think, in this game.
Yeah. And they kind of the change, you know, it was like Camilla, and then, you know, but that's what they put it in the US, but in the Japanese it was Carmilla, so it's referred to as both on there. But it's also kind of, so the way this starts out is Simon's been afflicted for 7 years. He's been pretty, you know, like, you know, sickly, and he gets visited in his dream, I think, or like someone just like this like waifish specter lady, you know, shows up to him and tells him that he needs to get Dracula's body parts in order to you know, heal his wounds. And there's been some theory that was actually like supposed to be Carmilla like luring him to try to you know, be killed by Dracula, to, you know, and bring, you know, Dracula back to life. So, but there's not much more info that I've heard about that, because a lot of stuff got damaged in the Kobe earthquake in '95, and I guess a lot of their records got destroyed. So that was a reference that I saw in like a magazine from like '92, and so I don't know how true exactly it was, but.
So I equipped the heart here. We got the heart in the last mansion we were in, and that actually grants us access to this area of the game. We're in a secret area of the game that's also required, so, you know, it is what it is, I guess. This is Brahm's mansion. This is actually where the death boss is going to be, which is optional, by the way, for some reason.
Well, the heart broke the curse, the ferryman's curse that you didn't know about.
Wait, I thought I was supposed to give him garlic. Shoot, I forgot I even have garlic. Okay, so we got a clue book earlier saying that the diamond is going to be available at Deborah Cliff, but that's a lie, because we're actually in Rad Mountain right now. I actually learned all the location games by playing the randomizer, or the location names by playing the randomizer, because the clue books and the randomizer are all altered to give you clues as to where things are in the seed. Sorry, I don't want to talk about the randomizer too much, but that's kind of how I learned what all these names were. So here's our last person, not our last person. Here's the person at Brad Mountain, and they're going to give us a diamond. Diamond, best sub weapon in the game.
About like the randomizer though, like, is it just as customizable as, you know, the other ones that you've seen? Like Zelda randomizers, like, is there a high level of customization with those nowadays, or is it still like pretty basic?
I would say that it's going to feel basic compared to Legend of Zelda or Link to the Past, in my opinion. But it's matured a lot over the past couple of years, and there are a lot more options than there were when we were testing it back in like the alpha and beta phase of the project.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you can sprite swap, you can palette swap. There's a few different palette swaps that you can choose from, and then there's the patches. You can do the main things that are like the 100% hard drops, which are great. You know, and you can actually do quite a bit with the randomizer. You can have invisible enemies. That's a lot of fun.
Gosh, you're just like walking and death.
Pretty much, yeah. You can do one-hit KO. We have that patch also.
And if you're sad, you can play all the hard mode patches at the same time.
And it is quite fun.
There's also a paint it black, where you don't get to see any of the environment. All of the background tiles are black.
Yeah, everything's black. Invisible enemies, one-hit KO, and you have entrance randomizer too now too. So you can basically have to know what where every door is. It's a lot of fun.
If you don't know Satresh and you're looking to follow somebody on Twitch that is just super masochistic with the way that they play games, definitely follow Sath, because he will just play the hardest of the hard modes, and it'll make your insides hurt watching it. You're somehow
Tell your friends.
You're somehow cool with it. I could not be. Even like a slightly annoying randomizer seed will drive me crazy, but you're like, one hit KO, painted black, invisible enemies, seems fine.
And then that one
the
time
seed for
Burb
7
also
hours.
gave me Invisible Simon, so I had everything was invisible. Hey, we beat it. It took us 5.5 hours.
Oh
That's
my
great.
god. Just make a day out of it.
Okay,
Like,
nice. So we have I can't either. No way. So I'm gonna set up an interesting floor drop here. Oh, we should do the clue first, though.
Oh,
There's
yeah,
another clue here.
definitely.
Let's check it out. So this is an accurate clue, but it's only half of the puzzle, and it's probably the thing in the game that probably stumps the most people
Yeah.
and turns them off. We've been collecting these crystals. Like, I have the blue crystal right now. The final one is the red crystal, and you have to go to this random dead end and kneel there again for 10 seconds to be taken to the second half of the game. You have to do that to beat the game.
Oh, we missed it. It's
Walk
okay.
of
So
shame.
when Two Snake did that floor drop, there's two small little spots where Simon will hit his feet on, and they're like small little like ledges that just kind of disappear. If you jump on the second one, you can jump right into that room where death is. And unfortunately, you didn't get it, so we got the walk of shame, but that's fine. That happens.
Dracula's Eyeball is another item that I didn't really know had a function until I played the randomizer. If you equip the eyeball, you can see what's in blocks, so you can see the clue box.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and they'll pop out to where you can actually grab them if they're peeking out of a block without actually having to use the block.
So I'm going to try to kill death here with a critical hit glitch with the holy water here.
So normally that's doing 1 damage each time it's
I'm going to
hitting.
reset it.
But when it hits correctly, it'll see. There we go. So that did 184 damage.
Now we have the golden knife, which is actually one of the strongest sub weapons in the game.
Yeah, because that matches your whip strength, and it'll stop and keep damaging an enemy until it dies, basically, or it runs
Yeah.
out, which is 4 ticks.
It's 3 ticks.
3 ticks, yeah, 3 ticks.
Yeah, stuns and hits 3 times. So 3 whip strikes equivalent of damage.
Just to give sort of like where we're at time-wise, we're around 40 minutes gameplay. And anybody that's just coming in the chat, this is Game Masters. We're exploring is a very good word for what we're doing right now. Castlevania II, Simon's Quest, 100% plus showcase of the entire game. What we want to go today with Two Snake, and yeah, boy.
There's a really hard to reach clue book here that I'm going to try to get.
I don't know what they were thinking, because yeah, that is like the weirdest way that you that's the only way you can get that clue book, is if you
And
throw
the
that
clue-
holy water in the specific spot.
Yeah, the clue's terrible. Put the laurels in a silk bag to bring them to life. That doesn't mean anything. That doesn't do anything.
It doesn't
Such
even
a
let you
terrible clue.
like put in use the silk bag. That's a passive item.
Yeah, it just exists in your inventory. It increases your laurel inventory capacity. So the max laurels I can have is 4. This is an item that I can activate to make myself invincible for, is it 8 seconds or so?
Yeah.
Ooh, I think I may have forgot to set up my subpixel right. Let's reset. So you touch the stairs to reset your subpixel, because it resets it to 0 when you climb off. It's kind of weird. The subpixel value that we're talking about, so I guess for those of you that aren't super familiar with speedrunning, when someone says subpixel, they essentially mean there's some value in memory that we can't see on the screen. So it's hidden from the player, but of course, you know, with the use of like RAM watcher tools and just a lot of trial and error experimentation, you can create setups for yourself and kind of track what your subpixel value is, even though it's not shown on the screen to you in any way.
Yeah, and if it's, you know, if it changes in predictable ways or because of predictable actions, then we can kind of influence that if it has an influence on something else that we need to do. So, like this specific value, just so happens when it hits at a certain point, we can do a floor drop, you know, and drop through floors basically.
The subpixel value that we're looking at is it's basically tracking your camera. It's your Y subpixel value. So what we're doing here is we're trying to. It's pretty early in the night. I think I'm gonna go see the graveyard duck first. Does that feel right, Seth?
Yeah. That.
Unfortunately, we can't. The graveyard duck is kind of a meme in the Castlevania II community. I think duck is a mistranslation. There's a villager, I think, in this town that tells you to give garlic to the graveyard duck for some reward. So we're gonna go do that real quick. But it's not a duck; it's just a person.
It's actually just that they didn't put the specific grammar in there. So like, because it's actually supposed to be 2 sentences, like it's supposed to be like kneel or you know, something at the graveyard and then duck to save your head, like. And so it's just the way it plays out on the screen, it's just graveyard duck. So it like there's no break in the sentence at all. So you're just like, what is this?
So this is a super this is an optional part of the game, and it's not an optional part of the game. Depends on what category you're running. But this is designed to be a dead end. This is a random graveyard, and we're gonna call up the hidden vendor. It's not even a vendor. The hidden NPC here with our garlic, just like we did outside of the town of Algebra earlier in the game. And this person's gonna give us the silk bag. And that's going to increase our not only our laurel capacity, but also our garlic capacity. But that's kind of useless. There's actually a glitch here. You know what? I'm feeling kind of YOLO-ish right now. I think I'm gonna give it 1 life bar attempt to do this weird glitch here. And you know, we're gonna. Oh, actually, we can't. We don't have the red crystal. Never mind. I'm glad I didn't do that. I'm super glad I didn't do that.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. I was gonna be like, well, are you gonna just get up there, or are you?
Oh, brother. Okay, so we're heading back now. We just needed to use the nighttime, the nighttime there because the NPCs weren't out in the town that we were in, and there wasn't much else to do. So we figured we'd just go ahead and knock out this real quick. So we're gonna head back to the town that we were just in, check out the NPCs there, see what kind of goodies they have for us. Spoiler alert: there is a required item that we need from there. Again, I'm able to exploit this 3-block high jump and get up there when normally you're supposed to walk through the swamp there.
Yeah, and then you can just jump in right over the other pitfalls.
One of my favorite things about playing this game is the art and the backgrounds. Like, look at the mountains in the backgrounds. That's pretty gangster. I'm into this.
Especially when it changes at nighttime too. It turns so, like, everything turns so ominous, and yeah, it's the atmosphere in the game is very striking.
Oh, hello. I want to get to know you better.
Okay, bye.
Yeah. Come follow me at twitch.tv/2snack. Tier 3 sub, please. We'll talk. So this guy is going to give me a red crystal, which is the final crystal for the blue one. No idea what the economy is like. I don't know why he's out here trying to trade the good crystal for the bad crystal, but, you know, maybe he just wants to visit Rover. Who knows?
Yeah, but you know, the red does the same thing. I guess, you know, maybe he just
True.
maybe he has a problem and didn't want to go and take the tornado anymore back to the other side. You know.
Yeah. So now we can actually buy these laurels, and it's going to be good for us. We can have 8, but let's buy a pack of them and keep 150 hearts just in case. There might be something in a couple of screens that we might want to spend our money on. And there is a vendor pretty far away at the very top of this town. I think it's just garlic, so I feel good about skipping it. Is it right,
Yeah.
Seth?
Yeah, it's just garlic.
It's just another garlic vendor, and there's a church, but our life is full. Let's see what some of these townspeople have to say, though. Oh, here it is.
Yeah, here it is. Yeah.
So we have the soaked bag from the graveyard duck. In the randomizer, that sprite is actually a duck for fun.
A duck?
Yeah, it's a duck.
Oh, man.
It's an actual.
Nice.
the
I'm going to get
graveyard
2
duck.
tier 3 subs tonight. It's going to be sweet.
Yes, definitely. Follow and sub to Snack. He's great
Yeah.
at this game.
Yes, Alba people. No, I don't mean real people. No, I'm good. Save your money. It's not worth it. But these thirsty Alba ladies, they can throw a 2 or 3 sub at. Okay, cool. So that was the next to last town on this side of the world, and we're heading to the last one now. And there's a spicy item in here, so I'm gonna make sure that I have enough hearts. I didn't need it by the laurels there, but I kind of wanted to show off the silk bag. I could have said what it did, but you know, this is more fun. These guys are so creepy. They stick their little hand out to grab you. I'm not super into that.
And they get really aggressive, like extremely aggressive at times. Like they will just see. Look at that. Look how aggressive that is.
Stop it.
Like stop. Don't be so grabby.
Yeah, we're not into that. Okay, more blobs. I'm actually on my last life here, so I should be careful. If you die in this game, if you game over in this game, you lose all of your hearts and your experience.
Yeah, so you don't want a game over. And unfortunately, because you don't have another indicator on how many lives that you have to like basically know if you're on the last life.
Seth, I think I wasted too much time. I think I'm gonna miss the morning star.
Oh no.
Yeah, shoot. Big
What?
shoot. I
It's
think
okay.
this door is another laurels vendor.
Yeah. No.
Shoot, big shoot.
That's okay. For anybody in chat, use !highlights command in Twitch chat. I just said that to find out about our highlights channel, where you can find small highlight reels of all of our hotfix shows and the main events. So, like, if cool stuff happens during this particular show, we're gonna make a highlight about it. We're gonna put it in our highlights channel. It's gonna be super cool. And if you're watching on YouTube, GDQ will be live through the 16th, so go to twitch.tv/GamesDoneQuick if you're interested in looking at it live. Yay.
I am super hyped for AGDQ this year. I think I'm more hyped for this AGDQ than I have been for any GDQ in the past. I have a lot of friends playing that I'm super hyped, super hyped to watch, as well as just really great runners that, are just people that I look up to. Folks like Cool Kid playing Mega Man 2.
Oh, that's gonna be awesome.
Seth, you're playing, right? You should
Yeah.
plug your run.
Yes.
Do it.
We're playing Willow, which is gonna be awesome. And they did accept the incentive for debug %. So if you want to see the game beaten even quicker than we're gonna do during the speed run, definitely go for that incentive. But
Yeah. Schedule's so stacked. I'm really excited. I work with the social media team, so check us out at GamesDoneQuick on Twitter and Instagram if you want to follow our meme shenanigans that bound to happen during GDQ. Yeah, there's so many runs. I mean, obviously it's 24 hours for 7 days basically, but it's,
yeah, it is stacked
so
with some
stacked.
really great runs. Yeah, I can't wait to see Drac X also. That's going to be a fun one to see too.
I'm very hyped for that race. Kernan and SVD Wolf are two of the best.
Oh yeah. It's gonna be so much fun to see.
We're just kind of hanging out in this town waiting for, we're kind of loitering until daytime because we need to get what's behind this door. And even though it looks open, it won't let me in. This is the hard part about routing Castlevania 2 is there are only a few different ways that you can beat the game without wasting a lot of time sitting in town waiting for the next cycle.
Yeah, and you know, at this point too, basically, if you're late and at any point, it's like a make or break for the speedrun, how well it's optimized at this point. But one of these days, we'll figure out a big break. Like the FDS run, you don't have to worry about day and night cycles.
Why is that?
Because you get to do death warps all over the place, and you don't have to. Well, for the any percent, you don't have to farm or do anything like that at all. So, the only thing that you're waiting for is, at the most, is trying to get the night glitch, where you actually go through a screen transition at the same frame that the day and night cycle is supposed to start, and it wigs the game out to where it never goes to daytime or never goes to nighttime ever. So. Do the whole run in all daytime, but it's only a 5-minute run anyway, or less than that. So.
Oh yeah, FDS any percent. I was thinking about because you ran all mansions for, was it AGDQ 2021?
Yeah, last year.
Okay. Yeah, I'm interested in picking up the FDS percentages because the FDS run of this game is different because the hardware for FDS is different. But now we have things like flash drives and like Wii Virtual Console that lets you kind of take advantage of certain things in the game without like corrupting the memory of the actual disc itself, which is I think what keeps you from running it on real hardware. Is that right?
Yeah, well, it depends on which category, but there's certain death warps that we use and that will actually cause save file corruption. So, and then that, you know, there's ways to mitigate that, like if you use a power pack or an EverDrive. But if you're on an actual disc, you'd have to rewrite the game every single time that would happen. And yeah, that's unless you have an actual, rewriter that can. It's kind of something you can't really do anymore.
This says Dracula's Knell may solve the mystery. That's BS.
I
mean, it doesn't hurt, but
yeah, I think that it's because they want you to use nail to break the blocks at the bridge.
Okay.
And you just fly away in a tornado, like everything's fine?
Yeah, like everything's fine. No problemo.
So right there, I was talking about that one long jump that you can get that you can fly you halfway across the screen. If you can actually use the momentum of the tornado and get a long jump off of the tornado, and it'll fly you right to the door at Bodley Mansion. So
does it work the same way as the momentum glitch from the moving platforms works?
You don't have to press a direction. You just have to mash jump and jump at the right frame, basically. So
I see. Here I wanted to be really careful and only break these middle two blocks so I can exploit a glitch here in a second. In the last town, the reason why I was waiting around is I was buying the Morning Star, and when I visit this person with the Morning Star, I get the Flame Whip, which is a silly weapon, but is also extremely strong. This is the final weapon in the game. And it just melts. Yeah,
it really...
Pow, pow!
But in this area at nighttime, the enemies are still pretty strong, so they're still gonna take 2 hits for that.
This is actually a very good clue, because Carmilla is actually, it even says Camilla here, but Carmilla is a very challenging boss sometimes, but presumably it means the golden knife here. This is the weapon you want to use when you kill Carmilla. So I like that clue a lot.
Besides the whip, it's the only other item that will do damage to Carmilla. The Sacred Flame won't, the Silver Knife won't, the Dagger won't.
Oh, yeah, you can use the Sacred Flame to kill the flame guys. Not sure what's up with that. That seems weird to me. Literally fighting fire with fire. Okay, so swamps are the best time to use laurels. Everybody knows if you're gonna walk through a lava swamp, you just gotta eat a little soup before.
Sure.
It's common knowledge.
Well, I mean, you gotta put laurels in your soup, though.
Of course, they enhance the aroma or whatever
The
she said.
aroma. Sure.
Ooh, 2 hits. This is actually, if this looks familiar, this is the dungeon that we wrong warped to off of that sliding purple block earlier. Except it's stacked with, if I still had the chain whip, which is what I had earlier, these enemies would take 11 hits to kill.
Yeah, they are really strong.
The
And the
designers
palette is correct now. The palette that it put on was the palette for the other mansion, which is kind of fun to see.
That's true, yeah, good call out. So this dungeon has the last normal boss in the game. There's only 2 bosses in the game besides Dracula, and this is a big criticism that the game faces. Is you know, Castlevania 1 had pretty challenging bosses, and that was you know, a big part of the game. A lot of people liked that. You know, like it was a big deal when you were a kid that you're able to beat the Frankenstein monster fight or the death fight.
Just to get to the Frankenstein fight was like, as a kid, was such an accomplishment. I remembered.
That's true.
And then yeah, it took me a really long time as a kid to even get close to beating death. Definitely much better bosses in CV1.
So this is actually, I think that this NPC was probably added later, probably in the testing phase, because I think the designers realized that you can't get back out of here through the swamp without laurels, probably, so they added that. I think they probably added that NPC to let you fill yourself up back up from laurels so you can actually make it through the swamp. I don't know that, but that's my speculation.
It definitely seems like they added that in there because of the swamp, because it's just perfect to, you know, like if you were to use all 4 of them that you got, you know, like it would, you know, pretty much take you through all of those screens. And I think that that's kind of like, they're like, all right, let's just keep this in here.
So here's the Carmilla fight. I'll actually let her break out and do her thing. She floats around, and then she'll stop, and these are the quote-unquote bloody tears that my watermelon will deflect. This fight actually is terrible in the glitchless percent because you don't get the magic, or you don't get the golden knife in glitchless percent, but in any percent or any percent, not any percent, but any percent that you played that has access to the golden knife, the Carmilla fight is trivial.
Is that why you don't do low percent?
How many whip hits does it take to kill Carmilla in low percent?
240.
Oh my gosh. What?
It's like a 400, or I mean, it's like a 4.5 minute fight.
Yeah.
3
so if
days
you're
later.
yeah.
Same with Dracula too. 240. They both have the same HP.
There's a vendor for an oak steak in the next dungeon, but this one's just super convenient. And we want to make sure that we don't go over on time too much, so we're going to go ahead and pick this one up. The next dungeon is kind of a weird one, because I didn't do the floor drop setup. We'll see the floor drop setup. Because it's a really long dungeon, but if you don't need the oak steak, it's a very short dungeon.
Yeah, it's that's actually when I'll sit and watch people who are playing this game live. Sometimes, and well, a lot of times. I'll just like search the category on Twitch and then see, but it's fun when people are going through that blind, or you know, or for the first time and never have played it before, and that mansion is always a treat because they are so confused. Because that mansion is very mean if you're just going into it without like anything, because there's no clues that tell you how to, you know, I think you just kind of have to guess and jump at that one spot and hope that you know, that there's something there.
Yeah, the use of like invisible walls and breakable walls and stuff in the next mansion is a bit excessive. But it's also a lot of fun when you know this. That's really the biggest. You know, if anybody is watching this and they're like, man, I remember this game when I was a kid and I hated it. But if you like this type of game, if you like kind of like these action platformer 2D sorts of games, and this is going to sound weird because if you hang out on my channel, you know that I hate spoilers. I hate backseaters. I hate all that stuff. I just want to immerse myself in the game and try it out, you know, completely no spoilers, fresh for the first time, and really immerse myself in it. Not Castlevania II. I think this is the type of game that you play once with a walkthrough, and then you play it again. You try to play it again without the walkthrough, because the joy of playing this game, in my opinion, is really the mechanics. Simon feels really good to play with. His attack is fast. His jumping, I don't know. It's just something about it. Simon feels better in this game than any of the protagonists in any of the other Castlevania games that I played, except for maybe Alucard and Symphony of the Night, just because he has so much cool movement tech at his disposal. These spikes look like they should kill you, but they don't.
Yeah. I remember the first time when I found out that they didn't. I was like, what? They don't actually do damage to you?
Yeah. Nobody even tries that.
They're just there for decor.
No.
And because Q-Snack got the oak steak again, like I said, doesn't have to go through this whole, you know, winding mansion all over again to just find the steak and go to the orb. Because it is mean. Like, you only tell, you're like, oh, yeah, because you would normally probably go this way, and then you would find out that there's someone who's walking on the roof there, and you're like, how am I supposed to get to this guy?
Yeah, we can check him out real quick. I think he's right above here. He looks like he's out of bounds. I mean, he is out of bounds. This is a required vendor up here.
Yeah,
not required, but the intention is that you're supposed to go there. And he's out of bounds.
Yeah. So hopefully that's the only reference that you might have to get out of bounds, and so you're just sitting here trying to figure out how to get there.
And then you'll get here, and this is going to be infuriating because you're going to see, well, maybe I can get up there if I could go up here, but you're not even close. You're not even close to making that jump. And this is also punishing because if you do go the other way and you find yourself here and you don't know where you're going, you might just drop down here and see what's down here. And guess what? There's nothing unless you have the
And then you got to go all the way back around.
Yeah. So this is the nail. This is the last. So we have all 5 of Dracula's. There's called body parts, but we have a ring. I don't know anybody that has a ring as part of their body, but we have these 5 body parts, and we have the magic cross, which is in the top right, and the red crystal. And now we're in, you know, what's called go mode. And I didn't even break the blocks. It's fine. I needed a game over anyways. Okay, do I have the nail equipped? No. Okay, that probably has something to do with it. So with the nail equipped, I can break blocks with my whip. Yeah, like who checks this? Who walks in this mansion and says, you know, there's stairs right here, but let's see if we can just jump through here.
Yeah,
and some random person found that too, like for the speed run. Like they'll just run into walls and stuff and be like, you know what? We're gonna use this.
Well, I've seen people who've played that blind and they've gone through, and then when they get out, because they don't know that there's a hole there, they're like, how am I supposed to exit this mansion? And they like go back and they're like, they're like, there's no way to go. How am I supposed to get through here? I guess the developers were like, you know, they have holy water. Let them just get frustrated enough to just go every 2 blocks.
Just throw it everywhere.
Throw it.
That's true. At this point in the game, you're probably just walking around throwing holy water at, like, literally every block. Like, hold on a second. I'm going to cosplay me as a 7-year-old. Wait, I didn't squarely hit this one. Maybe it's a secret? No, still not a secret.
Exactly.
Oh, that's the corner. I gotta be sure. Gotta be sure.
This is why we have trust issues. Like, we don't know where we're supposed to be going. No one's telling us.
There's actually one more vendor in this door up here, but it's nighttime, so we can't go there. But I think it's just laurels. It's more laurels.
Yeah. If you're ever playing the randomizer, though, that can have holy water, and that's always a fun seed.
It's always a fun seed.
But yeah, like TASing said, once you know it, you've played the game once and you kind of know your way around it, it's so much fun to play it another time, because just getting through it, like actually knowing, okay, now I can play this game. Now, it's very freeing in a way.
So these stairs, I'm sorry, these stairs bring me to the last level, but kind of wanted to explore what's beyond the fork to the last level a little bit. Okay, I finished talking. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm definitely one of those gamers that, like, I want to know what happens in the story. Like, I want to progress with the game to see, like, what happens next, and then I'll sort of, like, go back and either, like, 100% or just, like, explore areas I didn't know. I'm definitely just, like, I want to know what happens next, and if I don't, I'll get frustrated.
What's up with these stairs, Seth? Did you know about this?
Yeah, so there in this area, this is all part of like the dev area. They have a couple staircases that are hidden that they just kind of clipped off with blocks and made them invisible, and that's one of them. There's another one that'll show up again later that actually is somewhat useful, but yeah, I wish we could use something like that, because there's actually one above the blob in Blob Boost. Like where the blob is, yeah. There's one there that can take you directly to that spot, but it's capped off basically.
Now I have those trust issues from like being 7 years old again. I'm like, I must check every block for stairs now.
Yeah, you find those stairs, you're like, this is a hidden stair. What is this gonna do?
I also think the palette on this screen is particularly good. It has a very good autumn feel.
Yeah,
I like it.
That reminds me of Splatterhouse going packing graffiti. Been there in the woods.
Oh, nice.
This is basically the same tile that's going into Castlevania.
Yeah,
Or
you
the
think
same,
you're like, oh, I'm there, and then you see this, and I always loved this screen as a kid.
Same.
He just got like knocked back in the next dimension.
Yeah. So this is a really weird looking screen. It's like half cave, half forest aesthetic here.
Yeah, but you can jump above, so it's like, yeah, they sort of cut the land in half.
Yeah.
You can see it.
I don't know what's up with that.
Yeah, I really wish that this was a little more developed, because, you would think that there'd be something here.
And if you walk all the way there and you drop down, naturally you'd be like, okay, I gotta walk to the other end of the swamp here. So let's
But
go.
look how long this swamp is with how many enemies it is.
But what do we have here? Random invisible stairs? What's happening here?
They're like, okay, we'll just throw these invisible stairs here, and if they figure it out, then they can get out. But otherwise, they're just gonna have to deal with it. And then just think, though, you find those invisible stairs, and now you're like, where else are these?
The trust issues reemerge.
Exactly.
So was this area is just something that they just randomly threw in there, like whatever they wanted, or like?
No, it was supposed to be kind of a dead end, but I don't know if they decided to do anything else, that because they actually had plenty of room that in the cartridge that they could work with, but since they developed this for the FDS at first, I think maybe they just limited it in scope and didn't really take advantage of the extra memory for the cartridge.
Hold up, guys. I'm gonna equip a red crystal and see if it warps me anywhere. Okay, perhaps not.
Debated.
Yeah, I don't really know what's up with that screen, though. It's almost like it's not a soft lock if there's invisible stairs that the player could eventually find.
Yeah, and it's not like there's no way that you would know that there's stairs there. Like none of the items tell you that there's stairs there. Nothing at all, goes for that. So you just have to kind of like press up and be like, oh hey, there's some stairs.
There is an urban legend of a diamond warp going there, I think.
Yeah, there's the diamond skip, but none of us have been able to recreate it, and there hasn't been any actual like video evidence of it. At this point, I'm thinking it's a troll.
Me too. I think someone reported that some glitch happened while they had the diamond equipped, which is this item, which looks cool but is awful. This is a terrible weapon.
Awful.
It's so bad. The only reason why this item isn't as bad as the silver knife is because you can do a downward toss and hit stuff that you normally wouldn't be able to hit with it. Like
yeah, so if you're on stairs,
like
it actually can be pretty helpful with stair enemies if you're on stairs. But
they actually brought the diamond back in Castlevania Symphony of the Night. I don't know if that was the first time the diamond entered the series or not, but
I believe it was, because they did like a whole homage in Symphony of the Night with the 5 body parts and CV2 stuff. So I think besides that, the only other one was actually, because I don't think Rondo didn't have it. They still had Cross and Holy Water.
So this breakable wall right here, you have to have the magic cross and the red crystal to be able to break this. This is the entrance into Dracula's castle. So this is the hard stop for completing all the progression items before the end of the game. I will offer a $1 bounty for anybody that figures out how to skip that. If it's not FPS any percent.
Solid buck.
Yeah,
we're
doll hair.
Yeah, if there's a way. That's the holy grail right there, getting past that barrier. We can do it in the FDS run, which is why the FDS run, the any percent run, is less than 5 minutes. But, we haven't been able to do it yet here. Ooh, how many? He's gonna go for a quad.
1.
Oh.
I had to I broke all those blocks with the lag. With the nail, and it created a lot of lag. I would have missed it anyway, but okay. Since Sath is here, we're gonna try the Sath patented backup triple. Okay, we got double.
Oh, almost.
Okay, I'm gonna try one more time. I don't want to waste too much time here, but this is a fun beam. Yeah,
there we go.
Nice.
Yeah.
Got the backup triple.
I keep messing up this setup.
I mean, now that you broke all the blocks, you're definitely going to want to do that, because that walk is going to be so long on the...
This is
look at that. Look how slow that is now, because all the blocks.
Breaking blocks in this game is weird. You would think that the more stuff you take off the screen, the less lag it would add. But in Castlevania 2, the more stuff you break, the more lag it adds. So I don't really know what's up with that.
Yeah, it is always boggled my mind just how those blocks affect that.
Okay, I'm gonna show off real quick why the dagger is like low key one of the best items in the game. I'm gonna try to do a critical hit glitch on Dracula here. By the way, the Dracula sprite looks like a Grim Reaper sprite. My personal theory is that the project manager accidentally designed a Grim Reaper sprite to 2 people instead of assigning out Grim Reaper to one and Dracula to the other. So they both came back with Grim Reaper. He's like, well, this one looks less like Grim Reaper, so we're gonna make a Dracula.
Yeah. I do remember being like, oh, good kill.
Thank you. That's time.
GG.
Thank you.
Oh, and we got the good ending. So yes, this was a good ending run.
So you too could pick up Castlevania 2, goof off a lot, and still get the good ending.
Yeah. Anybody can do it.
This really is a fun game. So I really appreciate you guys giving Sath and I the opportunity to kind of gush on it, because we love this game.
Yeah, totally.
An amazing
Where
game.
can the folks find y'all?
You can
I'm
find me
TASing.
at Twitch. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. No, get in there.
You
No,
can
go
find me at twitch.tv/SethDrush. And find my lovely friend TwoSnack over here at twitch.tv/TwoSnack.
We love Castlevania. Castlevania is a really fun series. As well as some other games, but
All the games. Everyone, go follow these two. They're awesome. I'm really happy they could be on the show today. Thank you so much for taking time out of your Tuesday to show us literally everything about this game. So make sure to drop them a follow, chat, and stay tuned. We're going to take a little break, but up next we have Super Metroid Nintendo Power Percent by Freya Spirit. Don't go anywhere. Go get popcorn though, and then come back, and we'll see you soon. Be right back. Welcome back, everybody. My name is AirAngel, and this is Game Masters Hotfix. We're doing a Metroidvania edition. So welcome on in. Game Masters is a show where the game is not made up, but the timer doesn't really matter. That's right. We just want to know everything about the game, the lore, mechanics, the development, Nintendo power, everything. So I hope everyone enjoyed the Castlevania II showcase. You can catch that on YouTube when it is uploaded shortly. Before we get started, Awesome Games Done Quick 2022 Online is live this Sunday, January 9th, starting at 11 a.m. Eastern. Come see a week of speedruns here on Games Done Quick Twitch channel, and you can go to gamesdonequick.com for more info. And right now, we are going to showcase Super Metroid Nintendo Power Percent by Freya Spirit. How are you doing today?
We are doing wonderfully. How are you?
I am doing so great. So I've mentioned this before in the first run. I have never played a Metroid or a Castlevania game, but I've watched every single run except for Nintendo Power Percent. So this is a brand new category for me. I'm super excited to watch it.
Yeah, so this is Nintendo Power Percent. There's an old Nintendo Power guide which gave a suggested route for trying to get the best ending, and the community decided to turn it into a speedrun. And it's really, really cool to just watch what was suggested so long ago. The vast majority of it is really, really good. And there's a few inexplicably bad decisions, but overall it's amazing. Let's go with 3, 2, 1, go.
Right.
So this is Series Station, very simple. First frame of the game, you want to hold right and jump, and you'll just kind of do a backflip. Saves a little bit of it, saves the turnaround animation. You'll see Samus's arms flailing around wildly. Every time, that's called an arm pump, and every time we do that, it pushes us forward a pixel. So it's actually a pretty substantial speed increase. And at one point, the world record was close enough, the first and second place times were close enough that it was decided by who did more arm pumps.
Thing.
So this is Ridley, everybody's favorite space pelican. We want to get hit by the tail 5 times because that does the most damage. Get ourselves under 30 as fast as possible. And Series Escape has an on-screen timer, which means that we always really want to go fast. And we're always just trying to beat TASbot's time. Very, very good start. Excellent start.
How long have you been playing this game, sir?
We first played it when we were a kid, and we've been speedrunning it for a little over 4 years. We're nowhere near as active as we once were. It's kind of hard to stay super interested in a hobby for that long, but we don't feel like we've met all of our goals yet, and we feel like we have a little bit more way to go to definitively become the fastest woman at Super Metroid.
Heck yes. And I mean, there's always a good point where sometimes stepping away from it and then coming back and fresh eyes is a good thing.
So now we are on planet. There's a couple tricks coming up in the next room, which are both super important. One is Moonfall, which is going to allow us to get uncapped fall speed, and the other is called a down back, where you hit down and back, and holding down compresses your hitbox, which allows you to sneak through a little gap that we're going to show. So here's the Moonfall. Unfortunately missed it, and here's the down back. Could not sneak through that gap without it. So you'll see the graphics mess up because of the uncapped fall speed. That's actually a really, really easy trick to execute. If you just hold L, you moonwalk while holding shot and jump, and then you just let go of shot and you'll moonfall. It's very, very easy. So coming up here is the short hop tutorial. If you do a full jump, you cannot make it over to that platform, but if you do a nice little short hop, then you can. This is a nice fun room with the down back. The surprising trick to that room is to hold down and back really hard. So right here, we're going to see the route divergence from Nintendo Power to here. Getting the best ending is an in-game time run, whereas we run real-time attacks today. And for real time, the door transitions are bad, but in-game time does not increase during door transitions, so it's a very, very different mindset. Those are the first couple mock balls of the game. A mock ball is a trick known as fast morph ball, where you can maintain your run speed while in a ball, and basically you want to hit down and then down right as you're falling. It's a foundational trick in the game and very, very important. There's two ways to the climb. One is the ledge grab climb, jumping from platform to platform. The other is a classic climb where you wall jump up the side. Wall jump climb is a little bit faster, but also substantially more mechanically difficult. Another little mock ball here, and then we'll be on to Bomberizo. The Bomberizo, the fight in this category is really interesting. Normally you only have 5 missiles coming into here, so you're at 0 going into the room. But because of this, we're actually going to be able to open with 5 missiles. I can just shoot Bomberizo with 8 missiles, and that'll do the fight. No. So, if anybody does want to ever go for the best ending, we would highly recommend approximately this route. The best ending is only 3 hours in-game time. As a kid, we thought it was 2 hours, so we really pushed and did manage to get it. But it's only within 3 hours in-game time, which is pretty easy to get, especially since you can save, and if you die, you can just reload. Terminator, we're just gonna run through this room and shoot all the things. Because we're doing Kraid first, we're going to shoot these little pirates. A cool little fact is that shooting them makes them put their claw up in front of their face, which actually extends their hitbox forward, which means you can get booped a little bit earlier, which actually saves frames. We absolutely love that in the any % run, there's two rooms where you actually use that to save time. Nintendo Power Strat is a route recommended by a guide from ancient history, which a community termed into a new category.
If you don't know what Nintendo Power is, Please Google it. And I remember getting them Power magazine. They were basically the highlight of my month at that point.
So here you see some major route divergence from the 80% run. Normally you do a trick called a mock ball or fast morph ball to get early supers, and would skip spore spawn entirely. But they can't advocate for that, but that trick wasn't known at the time, and Nintendo couldn't advocate for a glitch like that anyway, so we're gonna go and grab charge, and then we're gonna head on to spore spawn. This one is really awkward to do just because you don't do it in any other category. Three little key hunters in here. We have all the missiles in the world here. Especially since we can just farm it to full very easily in the middle of this fight. Spore spawn is seen in so few categories. It's nice to give him a little bit of screen time. Ooh, that was 3. So we're gonna need 10 missiles in total to kill spore spawn. Spore spawn is actually a pretty difficult fight. That was only 2, which is fine. It's such an unusual fight to do that, and normally when you do spore spawn, you're doing it with supers, so very few people have actually spent a lot of time optimizing this fight. We believe that's 8, so 2 more. Nope, no luck. So yeah, we would if anybody's at all interested in this game or just playing it for fun, we'd absolutely recommend doing something very close to this route and just going for the best in-game time. Makes for a nice semi-casual playthrough. We're gonna go for a tricky but really swag moonfall here. And we got it. That is probably our second favorite moonfall in the game, because you gotta do that because you're on such a tight timer with the crumble blocks. Damage boosts. If you can actually use damage boosts to actually send yourself flying across the room. Really neat that the game allows you to do that. The simplest example of a damage. Well, there's a good room for showing it off. We'll show it off when we get there. Another interesting route divergence, getting these missiles early. These are a little bit faster to get after high jump boots, but absolutely makes sense if you're just rushing for the best ending to grab these early. One thing is that you basically end up with an unlimited supply of missiles. Because the in-game timer does not tick up during that. Big decision here, up to Fantoon or down to Kraid. Up to Fantoon is quite tricky to do, so it would not be recommended in a guide. Early Spazer requires you to do a wall jump. Important in this game, to do a wall jump, you have to press away from the wall and then jump. You can't press them at the same time, which is something a lot of people run into when they're learning the game. There's another little bit of neat route divergence that's coming up. Normally you'd get high jump after Kraid, but it's definitely easier to get into Kraid's lair and do the Kraid fight if you have high jump. Otherwise wall jumps are required, which are not the easiest thing in the world. That business center fall is an amazing trick. One of the things that we really appreciate about this game is just how complex falling can be. There's so many little platforms to dodge and so many different mechanics that you can use to reset. You can unmorph to reset your vertical speed. You can compress your hitbox. Just so many neat little things that you can do. If you ever play with the hitbox sphere on, you'll notice that Samus in standing form has a pretty big hitbox, but in spin jump or angling down, Samus's hitbox is pretty small. It's much smaller. Getting to sneak that door open is a neat little thing. Saves the super for later. So here's where high jump is needed. High jump does make this room more interesting. So one of the really neat things about Samus's movement is that in the later Metroid games, Samus only has about has only 2 run speeds, speed booster and not. In this, Samus accelerates every frame, which means that Samus has about 100 different horizontal speeds, which makes for not a great casual experience, but makes an amazing speed run and allows for so many manipulations. Great quick kill there. Always feels good to get. There's several variations. The variation of the great quick kill that we'd recommend for people just learning the game would be to do a charge shot when Kraid's claw is down, which will pause Kraid's claw in the bottom in the down position, and then just shoot 4 supers in. One of the very first tricks that we learned way back in the game, probably a decade before we actually started speedrunning this. This E-tank right here is one of the last safeties that you drop in the any % run. It really helps with everything. Yeah, to everybody watching, if you ever have 5 hours to spare and want to just play one of the best games of all time, we'd highly recommend just doing a Nintendo Power % run or something similar to go for the best ending.
What got y'all into this category, Blair?
The fact that it exists mostly.
Yeah. That's fair.
So there's a Super Metroid community relay race in December, and when we signed up, we checked most of the categories, and this is the one that we got chosen for, which meant that we had to really learn it, which is a lot of fun.
Right. It is super cool category, I think, because it's sort of like a homage to the culture of the time of when the game came out, and it's a tribute to them that Nintendo Power stays relevant.
It really is. We love the community. We love all the categories that they've come up with. So normally you're supposed to go all the way around here, but you can just do a little wall jump here. That morph at the top actually serves a purpose. When you get hit by an enemy, you can either get knocked back low or high. And if you're in morph, you will be guaranteed to get knocked back high. Which and that just significantly reduces the chance that y'all get knocked back down. So we're grabbing all sorts of missiles. The real-time timer continues ticking up while grabbing those missiles, but the in-game timer does not, which makes them very free to grab when all you care about is in-game time. So coming up is what we'd say is the first inexplicable decision of the category. Trying to get over there is not easy at all. That deboost is the fastest way, and if you miss it, there's like a pretty tight wall jump that you have to do. And we just don't really understand why Nintendo thought that was reasonable to expect of people. We'd say that there's 2 inexplicable decisions. Well, 3. 3 if you count grabbing X-ray. And that was the first of them. So instead of there, if you're gonna be trying to get the best ending, we'd recommend to just go and grab Wave now. Wave requires a single wall jump, and it's way easier than trying to grab that. And it'll save you a ton of time. So coming up here, we're about to see ourselves go up the red tower, grab power bombs, go down the red tower, fight Crocomire, and grab Wave, and then go back up the red tower. And that's the segment where you can save a ton of time if you just you can save a ton of time if you just grab Wave now, and then you only have to go up the red tower once. So here's Ice Beam. That'll allow us to get back up the red tower with ease. It's not easy at all to get up the red tower, and here's a neat trick called the Ice Escape. You have to start the mock ball in this room because your speed briefly drops to 0 when you start a mock ball, and if that happens while you're trying to get under the gate, you just won't make it.
So in terms of... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, one of the weirder parts of the game, and we had to actually look at memory, watch memory and with frame advance in order to actually understand what's going on there.
In terms of like the lore, where is this sort of, I guess, after the first Metroid?
This comes right after Metroid 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in Metroid 2, you rescue the baby Metroid at the end, and then this game starts with you dropping off the baby Metroid at a research station.
Gotcha.
And with Ridley stealing the baby Metroid. So here is the damage where it's nice to learn damage boosts. You hit jump and then you hit back. You face left, you hit jump and then you just hit right. That's a place where it's very easy to deboost. Very worth learning. Also, it's just fun to zoom across the room. So here continues our in-game time collection of 10 missiles. Absolutely the right call for a guide like that. Now we're going back down to Crocomire. And we're in the segment that you can just save if you go into a wall jump to wave the first time around. For these doors, because you have speed booster, you're actually going a bit too fast, so you have to actually let go of dash in order to not bonk the door.
Just as a heads up, if you all are watching on YouTube, GDQ will be live through the 16th, so go to twitch.tv/gamesend if you're interested in looking at the event live. And ! highlights command in chat here to find out about our highlights channel, where you can find all small highlight reels of our hotfix shows and main events. So really cool expeditions, showcases, and random glitches from this particular show will be uploaded to that channel as well.
That was a trick to clip the missile through the gate. Much easier to do if you just have wave. There's a really cool trick here where you hold L to stop, and you just shoot, and then just kind of fall. It looks really silly, but it's actually it's actually only like 1 frame slower than the optimal way, which is very mechanically intensive. Here's everybody's favorite 8-eye melty monster, Crocomire. Doesn't attack you until you shoot first. You just invade Croc's home and make Croc have a bad day. Missiles push back Croc 2 squares, supers 3, and charge shots 2. There's an old meme in the Super Metroid community. Does Croc actually have 8 eyes? You can't see the other side of Croc's head. And we managed to solve that mystery by looking at the instruction manual. In the instruction manual, Croc is facing the other way, and you can confirm that Croc does have 8 eyes.
Amazing.
So coming up are Indiana Jones missiles. The game definitely expects you to shine spark to them, but one of the things that the speedrun community has learned over time is that shine spark crash animation is about 70 frames long, which is really slow. if you can avoid that, you should. If you go and watch the runs from ancient history, you'll see Red Scarlet in her amazing run, and legendary run, just doing shine sparks all over the place. And like modern runs do way fewer shine sparks, just because the crash animation is so long. Here's a neat trick where you actually use grapple to open the door. Fortunately, we didn't quite make it, but if you shoot it early enough, you can actually open the door. Using grapple is the only way to open the door there. Exiting this way with that wall jump is way faster than exiting through the grapple escape. So one of the really neat mechanics is that the faster you're running, the higher you'll jump. With some caveats. But there's a lot of tricks which involve manipulating your run speed just to get a really high jump. The game just continues to amaze us, like how much nonsense there is movement-wise, and how so much of that can be translated into speed tech.
We're here for the nonsense.
Nonsense is what pulls you into this hobby. There's a little trick here called the ice stair, which we didn't quite get. When Twitch Plays Metroid, Super Metroid was a thing, one of the interesting things was to get a Bubble Mountain, they failed to go around the long way many times because the long way has a bunch of lava and just kills you. And then they tried to go up Bubble Mountain and failed. And eventually they settled on doing a mock ball to get early ice and then just freezing things to get up Bubble Mountain. It was one of the more creative parts of the run. And there's an example of using extra run speed to manipulate your jump height. The next item we need to get is X-ray, which is not something we recommend if you are going to try and go for the best ending. But we understand why Nintendo put it there, because otherwise they'd get a bunch of annoying questions.
We do have a question from chat. There doesn't seem to be too many RNG encounters in this game. Does the amount of RNG in a game affect your decision to pick up a game, run it?
It definitely affects our decision to pick up a game seriously. We can absolutely pick up a game to casually run with a bunch of RNG. But we prefer games with much tighter movement mechanics and not as much RNG.
I definitely agree with that sentiment. It's just more focused on the game mechanics, and even glitches are fine, but it's one of those things, even if you play your heart out and you still can't get a certain time just because of a RNG thing, that just makes me angry.
One thing that has happened over time with this game, and just speedrunning in general, is that runners spend a lot of time trying to figure out how to move things from the bin of bad luck to I can stop this.
Right.
Oh no, we were supposed to get X-ray. For a side category like this, the way that we do it is we have a split for every single item, and we let our splits tell us where we're supposed to go. Without our splits, we'd be very lost. Fascinatingly, just mashing like this is the fastest way to move across with grapple. It's not a very speedy item. Little backup wall jump there. Very, very neat trick to know. Super Metroid was the first speedrun we watched, probably all the way back in, we want to say like 2006, 2007, maybe 2005, and since then it was just kind of fated that this would be the game that we eventually pick up. So if you do want to learn this game, it is a very forgiving beginner speedrun. The advanced run is very complex, but for just learning it, it's fairly straightforward. In Mario, if you fall, you die and you have to redo the entire level. In Super Metroid, if you fall, you just kind of jump back up and lose a few seconds. And there's a great example of that. We fell into the Samus Heater twice, and all it did was make us lose a few seconds. Wall jump is absolutely not needed to get the best ending. As a kid, we got sub 2 hour in-game time without wall jumps. But you definitely do want to do them if you have the opportunity. Here's going to be our first Shine Spark of the run. Very, very neat thing that Nintendo added in, and a huge part of the speedrun. There's some missiles you can easily grab there now, but Nintendo said not to, so we're not going to.
In terms of a beginner's route, where can Pat find a route guide?
There are many tutorials on the Super Metroid speedrunning wiki, and we would definitely recommend going to there. Also, a slightly modified Nintendo Power percent is a very good beginner route if you just want to get the best ending. So there's an old Nintendo Power meme that said the 5 supers will do the trick for Fantoon. It's very slow, but we've got to do it for the memes. This is one place where there is RNG. Fantoon will reappear and become damageable after 1, 6, or 11 seconds. Slow, mid, or fast. Oh no, we accidentally shot off our super there. So when you hit Phantoon with a super, Phantoon becomes enraged and becomes undamageable for 15 seconds. Which normally you want to avoid, unless you're trying to go full meme Nintendo Power Percent and follow Nintendo's recommendations of using 5 supers Phantoon. Our super count is not doing particularly good. So there's 2. That drop is really good. Okay, so this is gonna be a right mid, so it's gonna reappear like right here. Oh, 75% chance that it was right there. Oh no, we just shot that super into flame. This fight has not been nice for eating our supers.
What you got there?
No. So if you are learning the run and just trying to get best ending, farming like this is great. If you hold L and R, you shoot directly up, and that's how you safely shoot up. You can farm. You can pick up items with grapple. There's a super. We would not recommend shooting Phantoon with 5 supers. The category does not require it, but the category also doesn't feel complete without it. It looks like we're 1 hit away from dead. Nope. We were off by 1. So at this point, Phantoon has only 100 HP left. So a regular missile would absolutely kill Phantoon at this point. But to complete the meme, we've got to use this. We've got to use a super. We've got to farm for a super.
My dog has decided to join the run as I dropped my phone and he stepped on it and started playing a random video. So hope y'all enjoyed.
Extra co-commentator. Yeah, so if you're playing a random, so Phantoon is by far the deadliest boss in the game. When we were first learning the 80% run, I think we died once to each boss before we got a complete run, and half a dozen times to Phantoon. There we go. So, and that farming strat is really, really good for survival. Oh, nice. We don't have to actually go get right supers. There's another inexplicable decision by Nintendo. Why did they make you come here to get left supers, but not actually make you go right supers? If you go right a little bit, there's a hidden room that has more supers, which we would definitely recommend getting if you're trying to go for best ending. Coming up is a very tricky trick in the attic. And like, we've got to go for the best one just because it's so swag if we can pull it off. So good when it works. Also super risky because it's if you miss that trick, then you lose like 15 seconds and it's basically run ending. Oh, they wanted to not give away all the secrets. That would explain it. Here's a trick called Bowling Spark. Very fun to pull off. It's a little multi-room spark, which with the door transition in between makes the timing of the short charges really awkward. We haven't explained short charges yet, so Samus has a hidden P meter that goes from 0 to 4, and when it's at 4, you get speed echoes turn blue, and you can charge a spark and fly. And normally it takes 85 frames of dashing to reach that point. But it turns out that the only times you actually have to hold dash are in frame 25, 50, 75, no, 25, 50, 70, and 85. So that is known as a short charge, where the optimal is tap, 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 tap. And tap, and like the better your taps are, the faster you can charge it, or shorter distance, and that's just a foundational trick of the run. Way back in the day, like 18 years ago, 1 taps were known, but 2, 3, and 4 taps were not. The basic version of 1 tap, you just hold right for up to 20 frames, and then you hit dash, and then you'll charge your Shine Spark in substantially less space. So coming up is the other completely inexplicable decision of the run. We are going to be grabbing Spring Ball next, which is super awkward to grab early. We're going to be grabbing a health refill just for safety. Not strictly necessary, but with the nonsense coming up, especially in a marathon run, we want to be super safe.
We have a question from chat. Does Nintendo Power % Route require players to know the wall jump or bomb jump?
Yes, it does. Right here above Spacer, there's a little wall jump where you have to, like, it's super easy to wall jump in this little crevice. You have all the time in the world to actually press the jump button, but you do have to be able to wall jump. So we'd say half yes. It requires a simple wall jump, but not the wall jumps that you think about when you think of a speedrun. So here's all the awkwardness. We have to get Spring Ball early in this route, which means that we have to navigate these rooms with awkward equipment. Generally, you would not touch this until after your space jump. And we have absolutely no idea why Nintendo wants us to go here first. There are 2 ways to get up here. One is a grapple, and the other is the ice clip over there. The ice clip is really annoying and super risky. To the point where, for the world record, they actually came up with specific setups for it. here it's Shack Tool, everybody's favorite digging machine. 45 seconds of Shack Tool digging. Let's go. So now is a great time if anybody has any questions.
Yeah, chat. Let us know if you have any questions, and I can voice them out for you. And just as a heads up for anyone that is just joining, this is Game Masters, the GDQ Hotfix show, where we highlight not only the speedruns, but the lore, the mechanics, the art, the culture behind games. We want to know everything about games. And so that's what we showcase. We showcase random categories. We do showcases of glitch expeditions, and we also do art on occasion. So yeah, check us out every other Tuesday. And if you do !hotfix, you can go check out our schedule.
Hotly debated in the community whether you should save or kill Shack Tool. Many people say that Shack Tool deserves to die for digging so slowly. Other people think that Shack Tool is an amazing digging machine and deserves to die and deserves to live. In this category, you basically have to kill Shack Tool, because not killing Shack Tool means that you take 50 damage. And in this category, you can't really afford to take that much damage. Also, sand physics are the worst. If you do get stuck in sand, the best way to get out is to hold L or R and just mash the jump button. And what that actually does is it'll alternate you between spin jump and regular standing pose, which is hitbox manipulation to get you out of the sand as fast as possible. Like if you fall into the sand right here, you just hold L, mash, and then you get out. Up here is gonna come a green gate glitch. We're gonna shoot for gates that are left facing. You can clip through it by shooting you can clip a super through it. So what you have to do, you have to shoot it while moving forward, and that'll just make it clip through, because missiles keep some of your momentum. Oh well, we got the E-tank at least. There's a hidden missile on the wall, and the intended strategy to grab these missiles is to stand on Mama Turtle. Stand on Mama Turtle and ride her up the sides and X-ray the wall. When some first-time player on Twitch found those, like, it was big news in the community that somebody had actually pulled that off. Mama Turtle missiles are widely considered to be probably the single most hidden item in the game. There's a trick called an X Factor coming up, where you can do a special beam attack in this game, where you if you have one beam, and power bomb selected, and you hold charge for 2 seconds, you will get 4 particles flying towards you, known as a special beam attack. Each of those does the same damage as a super, so it's really useful. And the wave beams is the most useful for a speedrun. It'll make 4 particles fly towards you, and they'll just move based on your position. And then they're incredibly hard to control unless you do very specific manipulations. So incredibly difficult for a casual player to control at all. But right here, we're gonna make 4 of them spawn right as Botman's head pops out, so we don't have to worry about movement at all. Nope. And you can see what we mean by if you miss them initially, they become very hard to control. Luckily, we have all the super missiles in the world in this category, which means that we can do that back up nicely. So coming up here is a trick called the full halfie. It's one that we get maybe half the time. Very, very tricky, tight wall jumps. It's so swag when you actually pull it off. Nope. Not surprising. It's tricky even when you're in the best form of your life. Coming up here are some missiles in this room. And we have notes, and our notes specifically say that we have to get these before Dragon for the category. It is very stressful to run a category like this, or a hundo map, where it's just so easy to make a little mistake and the run's dead. In this category, if you just accidentally grab the items in the wrong order, then the run's dead. There's many cases where like there's two items side by side and you can naturally grab them in either order. So we're gonna try and kill Dragon with an X Factor and 2 Shine Sparks. Or 3 Shine Sparks. Let's see if we can pull it off. Decent. Good. Excellent. If you kill Dragon with a Shine Spark, you'll get a blue suit, which allows you to just keep a Shine Spark. Allows you to store a Shine Spark to spark back across the Coliseum. One of the really neat things about this was that way back in the day before Zebetite Skip was known, or no, right as Zebetite Skip was being found, this was one of the 2 paths to 14%. What you could do is you could get a coop to slow you down, which allows you to charge a spark. Oops. And charging a spark like that allowed you to kill Dragon to get the blue suit. And then the old 14% speed route included keeping that blue suit all the way until Torian, and then using it to do a speed Zebetite skip. Really cool and creative way to do something from way back when. One of our favorite things to do is to play Super Metroid Historian and just learn more about the history, about the speedrun, about the game. Here is Pancake Tower. Super awkward room to traverse, but feels good when you do get it. Plasma is also an incredibly awkward room. This segment is just known for having super awkward rooms. And this room is awkward because you have to shoot things on the left and then things on the right and then go out the door. And there's a little deboost off of that. The little Poyo Tower there is a really awesome plasma tutorial. Like, we like how with no words they give a great tutorial on how plasma works. This game actually does a really, really good job of giving a bunch of tutorials on how items work without any words at all. Like inside the game, there's surprisingly few actual words other than the item names themselves. So at this point, we just have to go to Lower Norfair and kill Ridley, and then go and kill Mother Brain and blow up the planet.
No big deal.
Advice for everybody: if you want to keep your planet, don't let Samus touch it. And one thing that we haven't talked about is door fixes. We're gonna do a moonfall here. You actually want to hold down as you're landing to get a better door sensation, because doors will always try and center themselves before you go through them. And for an RTA, it doesn't matter, but for for in-game time, it doesn't matter. But for real time, it absolutely matters. And community has spent quite a bit of time trying to figure out how to manipulate each door like that. So the run does require us to go and kill the Golden Chorizo. There's two possible texts here, and we're gonna go for the swaggier one just because it looks prettier. We're not guaranteed to get it, but we've got to try for it. And we got it. It's so much fun to pull that off. Just springballing across this giant acid pit. It's a bit high. So coming up here is a one-way pit. What you can do is just be in ball with spring ball, just hold jump, and then you'll be guaranteed to jump the first frame, and you will never fall. So that's a super safe way to get down there. And what we'd absolutely recommend everybody learning in Hundo, in this category, your run's just completely dead if you do that. In Hundo item, it costs you a couple minutes. So if you crouch while holding L and R here, you can shoot directly up. And you'll see that we're hitting Golden Chorizo twice with some of these plasma shots. Now we're going to screw attack, which will allow us to very easily. Let's see if we can pull off the swag here. And we pulled it off. So if you're angling down, you'll kind of get into this weird turnaround animation, and you get to keep your speed for a little bit longer. And that allows you to just kind of squeak into the item. Really, really cool trick. Wasn't good, so we decided to back it up by just screw attacking through the blocks. One of the real tricks about being a speedrunner that you don't actually see that much is that that the top tier speedrunners always have a backup for a backup for a backup for every room, and like you eventually learn how to judge whether or not you got a trick. And if you didn't get it, then you set yourself up for a backup as fast as possible.
Yeah, 'cause nobody likes a reset.
Killing those key hunters saves some lag frames. All the key hunters are on global timers, which means that they're moving whether they're on screen or not, and that causes a ton of lag, especially combined with power bombs. I'm gonna do a trick called coggoing. If you're in the right segment of a turnaround animation, you can just click through platforms. Little pirates can go really wrong when you mess that up. Okay. There's a neat little trick that you can pull up here. Let's see if we can do it. It's a multi-room trick. It's much harder to do what the pirates did. But we've got to try it. We think we're a little bit too far to the left, but let's see. Yeah. We can actually kill the pirates super fast and then springball jump through all the rooms. It looks really, really cool when you do that. It's called coggoing because there's an enemy in the game called a coggo, and usually you practice the trick on it. They're the enemies where they don't actually do anything to you, but they spit out like little enemies when you shoot them, and you can just like clip inside of them. And it turns out that with any enemy, if you're normally enemies knockback will knock you back, but if you're in certain animations, then it just won't knock you back at all. And you can just maintain your speed, which is really important for a speedrun. So a cool little trick we found in here, in the next room, if you actually let go of forward, then you can have no inputs pressed, which will cause less lag. So we found a very tiny improvement over the world record, which is to go forward by letting go of forward. It's for a tiny bit of lag reduction. Here's a really cool trick. We're gonna clip through the ceiling. It's like, if you hit L at the right time, you can see that normally, if you just get yourself stuck there, Samus's head is touching the ceiling. But if you hit L at the right time, there's a little bit of gap there. And then just at any time now, we can press jump and we'll just clip through the ceiling. And that, done properly, that's used to chain directly into a D-boost, which then chains into a short charge mock ball. It's definitely a candidate for the best trick in the game. So every time we're running this in a marathon, we go. And this is our favorite trick of the game. This is our favorite room of the game. And very quickly it becomes, wait, can they just all be our favorite room? These are the Three Musketeers. They're quite deadly in any percent. Where you don't have plasma. With plasma, you can just kill all three. With screw attack, they're even easier. here we're gonna try and kill 3 of the waivers just for kill 2 of the waivers just for lag reduction. Anything on global timers will make a power bomb lag worse. At this point, we're just gonna dive to Torian and finish off Mother Brain. We super appreciate the format of this, where rather than going for the best time, you just try and share as much knowledge as possible, which means that you can lose 30 seconds here and there to show off really cool things.
Yeah, I'm super happy y'all could come on the show. It's this is definitely a game I have first of all never heard of. So when I was like researching the show, I was just like, I really want to remember, but I don't category, and then it just pops out on the screen. Endo power. I was like, what? I'd show it off.
Yeah, the category extensions are one of the best things that happened to this game. Just all sorts of neat categories here. That exit of the room is surprisingly mechanically intensive. You gotta do a shot, and then 2 item selects, and then angle down to grab the ledge by compressing your hitbox, all in a very short amount of time. One thing that we love about this game is just how many tricks, like, even with all the knowledge that we have, there's a lot of times where we just can't figure out what's going on just by looking at the screen. And like, our PB in this category is a 109. So here's a neat little door fix. We're gonna try and mockball out of this room just to get a better door transition. That mockball out of there, like, until you actually spend time studying it in depth, you would not. It's not obvious at all that that mockball out of the room is purely to fix the door transition. Here we have a 30-second waiting game. Everybody messes around in their different ways. Yep, we use plural pronouns for ourselves.
For this particular category, I believe the world record is something like 1 hour and 2 minutes.
Yeah, Zeus is amazing at everything he touches. So coming up is a trick known as baby skip. You asked where this fits in lore-wise, and this is the baby Metroid from the end of Metroid 2 right here. That you saw as a tiny baby Metroid on Ceres Station. This is baby skip. We're a touch out of practice, so maybe like a 30% chance that we actually pull it off. That was real close.
It was. That's adorable.
We should have done a little extra jump, but we thought we could get away with it. No Power is a category where basically we're following an old Nintendo guide for the memes. Okay, so we have an unequipped screw attack, which means that we're gonna go for this. We're going to go for the down back subscape, which is a bit harder, but we can pull it. We can pull it off, but nowhere near as consistently. There we go. Nine and 9 is the best strat for Mother Brain 1. And 20 charge shots will do it. One, two, three. Super important to count because after shot number 16, Mother Rain starts shooting her red beam, her ketchup beam, which can do a ton of up to 300 damage at once. And as we say that, we completely lost count, so we just say that. There's a trick called stand-up that we could have opted into. But we don't feel comfortable enough with it for a marathon. Like, there's a 95% chance that we could do it, but 5% would just kill the run. Here's a baby Metroid recognizing you and sacrificing itself to save your life. Which is a really cool continuation of the story at the end of Metroid 1. Or at the end of Metroid 2. Like, they really did continuity well between the games. Which is... Mother Brain 3 is going to be 36 shots. The simplest way is just hide in the corner. And that's probably the fastest for in-game time. But for real time, we want to do a bunch of lag reduction. Rainbow Beam is really, really laggy. Three shots per round means 12 rounds. There we go. So the trick to starting this run is to starting the escape is that you jump when the last E of escape comes, and you'll get a perfect room exit. really cool, neat little thing. You can knock back low after the Shine Spark, and that'll just put you in a slightly lower position, which saves a couple frames by holding right. Shoutouts to Snick for pointing that out. Snick, the taser of this game. So here's a Behemoth Spark. We're gonna crouch Spark and get all the way up to the right side. And the trick for that is that you actually need to wait a little bit of time before you actually spark. If you spark as fast as possible, you won't actually be crouched, and you won't have the slight pixel offset of where your spark starts from. We've got to save the animals. And you've even got some extra time to pet the animals. The Edacoons failed to teach us how to wall jump when we were a kid, so we're gonna pet the Decora, and the Edacoons can go save themselves. Pet, 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 pet. There is a hack where you can actually shoot the animals, and actually kill them yourselves with your rainbow beam. What we kind of want to make is a hack where you get to shoot the Edacoons and then save the Decora. That would be our dream. And time.
GG. Such a fun run.
It really is.
Yeah, thank you all so much for being on the show today. Where can chat find y'all?
We are Freya Spirit on Twitch.
Yeah, and thank you
We
all so
speak when
much
we
for
feel like it.
yeah, totally. Make sure you follow the runner. They are super amazing at this game, obviously, and I'm so grateful that I have met so many amazing runners that do the most obscure categories as well as lore dumps. So make sure you all just show the runners some love. And yeah, this has been Game Masters for GDQ Hotfix. Again, I am AirAngel, and I will be back next month, but we do have another Game Masters planned, not next Tuesday during AGDQ, but the week after. So be sure to tune in for that, and stay tuned on this show, because after this we have Time Capsule featuring the year 2005. I know that doesn't seem that long ago, but it has been like 17 years. So stick around, some awesome runs are coming your way, and I hope everyone has a good rest of their day.